clearly.
Hello and welcome to Midweek Gaming. We're back once again. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome Matt Barnes. Welcome Matuko. Welcome Assassin Looper. Welcome Killer Crow. Thanks for stopping by. All heard in the chat. If you want to check out a gaming website, an independent one, go to www.bg4ghub.com. It provides independent reviews, news and opinion pieces. This week we've got the usual panel and we've got a guest, the InsipidGhost from the Great Expansion Pass podcast. How are you doing? How are you, Luke?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me. A lot of Xbox news happening today. That's kind of exciting. So it's good to be here, man.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, definitely. It always seems to drop on our shows normally, but yeah. they're like providing all this news today.
What's been announced today?
But then they had Aaron Greenberg come out and said, temper your expectations. Do you know what I mean?
He did come out and he calmed us all down for sure. But there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, they're announcing engagement numbers, new modes. I mean, it's not a bad week, all things considered, to be a gamer.
No, it's definitely a good week. It is. It is. Welcome, Mr. Tushi. How are you doing?
I'm doing brilliant. How are you?
I'm okay,
ready to go.
Yeah, we could have been playing Sea of Thieves, but you know, I'm getting hooked onto that game. You know, Sea of Thieves. It's really good.
Everyone who's listening,
I'm a few years late to the party.
Everyone who's listening, we was discussing because we've been playing Sea of Thieves quite a few nights this week. We said, "Oh, let's do one tomorrow night." It was like, "Yeah, it was planning the time to go." Hang on, we've got the midweek gaming to do. We can't do it.
Yeah, because VJ wasn't there. VJ was on Twitter wishing that I hope that they sink the ships. And yeah, VJ, thanks for that. 2 ships sunk and all our treasure nicked.
You're welcome.
We made about $5,000. That was it in 3 hours.
It was fun though. It was. Welcome, Removal Sanity. How are you doing?
I can't complain. New little location at the moment, so I apologise to anyone if I do drop out. I'm in the bottom of my garden. so I can talk loud and hopefully talk more. But yes, thank you very much, Stubbs, for inviting me on again. It's always a pleasure. And it's nice to see Luke as well. Welcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I'm excited, man. It's a good crew, man. I'm just excited to get to talk Xbox.
Yeah, definitely. It's something exciting. We haven't seen a nice little community here. We do over on this little podcast, so people seem to like it. They do. Welcome, VJ. How are you doing? The man that is on that many podcasts. It's unbelievable.
I might have to give up the podcasting game for Sea of Thieves.
He realised last night, didn't know what he's missing out on.
I know.
Trust me.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm surprised there isn't a podcast in Sea of Thieves channel because I can guarantee you'll probably be on that at some point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
You can just sit there on the Series X. I don't know if Luke plays it, but it's a sea. You sit there staring at the sea. It looks incredible.
Oh gosh, Sea of Thieves is such a great game, and it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous on a Series X. And guys, I'll tell you, I just switched to an OLED TV. Oh my, it's the real ocean in my living room.
Wow, I bet it is, definitely. Goodness. An OLED. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
I'll have one of them soon, hopefully.
You probably will. Welcome back from the dead. Welcome, Judzilla. Welcome, ACS Husk. Thanks for stopping by. Quite a few people here tonight.
Hey, AC.
Or today, depending, or this evening, depending what part of the world you're from. It's 10 o'clock at night here in England. It is. And we are live on Twitch. So if you listen on to Twitch, hello. I thought I'd finally use Twitch. I've been affiliated for quite a long time. I just thought I might use it. See what happens. Right, let's get into the topics. Now, I haven't dropped all the new news into the podcast because We will get to some of it, but everyone else will be talking about it, So we will go with. Let's have a look. Just go along. It's a bit of a. I don't know if anyone's a Forza fan here. So the question is: do you want a new Forza Motorsport or another Forza Horizon soon? And when do you want it to come out? Where would you like it to be themed? InsipidGhost, would you like to go first on this one? Because I know there's been some leaks, there has, about certain Forza game. There has.
Sure. Yeah, I've heard rumor point, and that is with a capital R. And I have no inside sources. I'm not a journalist by any means, but I'd heard just kind of in the ether that it might be in Tokyo, and there is probably some credibility to that to a certain point, in that we've seen Forza Horizon take on drifting a little more in each game. I mean, Fortune Island in Forza Horizon 4, I believe it was centered around drifting, and it would make sense to have that Tokyo aesthetic. It would certainly make sense in an arcadey sense, because Forza Horizon is meant to be a bit more arcadey than the Motorsport series, and what perfect showcase to show off the brilliant new graphics than to be in a cityscape, but also be able to go out to Japan's the outer rim of Tokyo and see more of Japan in terms of the hills and aesthetic there. It'd be a brilliant visual backdrop to a wonderful racing franchise. So when I saw that Tokyo was the rumor, as it were, I was ecstatic, because we were on this brilliant plane in Australia and going through Sydney, and then we had this wonderful landscape in Britain. But if I'm being honest, I'm really tired of Britain. In terms of
so we live here.
Present company, yeah. I'm tired of of that aesthetic. I wanted something unique and different, and so perhaps a modern driving aesthetic in Tokyo would be interesting to see, to say the least. But regardless of where it is, one thing that Forza Horizon has proven time in and time out is that they are a wonderful racing franchise for people like myself, who motorsport's too complex, but it's just past arcadey enough that I can handle it in Horizon, and their games have all been brilliant. They've just all been brilliant, and so I'm there for whatever Playground puts out.
Yeah, but it's definitely exciting. I can't blame you. I mean, if you play Forza a lot, you will get bored of Britain, to be fair, because that's all you see. It's on Forza Horizon 4. So I don't blame you for getting bored. But Tokyo would be a really great country for it to be themed in. It would. They definitely do a good job over there. They do at Playground Games. Oh, have I got it right? Turn 10. One of them.
Yeah, it's Playground was the one doing it. And the thing about the Britain or the Britain aesthetic was they tried to model it around seasons, and I didn't really enjoy when it was raining, and they certainly played that up a lot, right? And every time I watch football, it seems to be raining too. But it was one of those things where I loved fall, I loved the summer, and I loved the spring versions, but I felt like it was still always raining. And so,
well, to be honest with you, if you live in England, that one season pretty much encompasses the entire year. We get about the rest of the seasons happen in about 3 days. So yeah, you can imagine how we feel.
It's a common thing, rain here. It's normal. And yes, sorry, chat, indie gamer. Yes, I mistakenly said Tokyo was a country there. I know it's not. It's a capital. I do stuff like this on the show, Luke. You'll get used to it.
I think I set you up for failure, and that I went from Australia, then Tokyo, so I went country to city as well, and vice versa. But in Japan and how much they utilize it'd be fun to track.
It would definitely. It would.
I can imagine them doing a nice drift game though, in Tokyo, especially
they did Need for Speed Tokyo, didn't they?
Yeah, it needs to be Tokyo Drift, yeah. But you can imagine doing like the car park meetups and stuff and challenges around the multi-story car parks and stuff. I don't know. It's interesting to find out what's going on. I can't wait for it to be announced, even just a sneak peek at it.
That would be interesting, like you say, meet up at car parks and have races and stuff.
But if they did that sort of thing, I can see them going a bit more deeper in car modifications. Like Need for Speed Heat, where they went a bit further ahead. You can get the wide arch kits and You've got that on Forza now, but you haven't got the extreme like Need for Speed Heat, what you can do in their cars. But it'd be nice if they'd done a bit more in that sense.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm interested in whether or not they'll do a very similar thing to what they have done with Horizon 4, which is it is Britain, but it isn't. They've kind of done their own version of Britain.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether or not they'll do the same thing for, Tokyo or Japan. Will it be Japan semi-condensed very quickly into their own version, their own visual version?
Oh, it was actually, speaking of Forza, I can't remember where I was. I was in my truck driving down this road, and I saw I'm always looking at the scenery in the background and stuff. And there's like a mountain with the actual the windmill you do the jumps through.
Yeah, they basically took, the way I understood it is they took small aspects of zones around England and then kind of combined them together to make a area. So yes, you will see. You've got the almost like the Yorkshire side right next to the mountainous Welsh side, and mixed in a bit of the Cornwall at the edge. And it's like, hang on.
I just can't remember where it was, but I remember seeing it and thinking, oh my god, that's from like that's from Forza. That is. But it looked identical though. You got like the mountain weren't as big. It just had like the same like windmill on the top. It was quite nice. I should have just pulled over and took a picture, shouldn't I, really?
Yeah. Knowing you, I'm surprised you didn't. You take pictures of your food enough,
But speaking of taking pictures, that's the best time to take photos on Forza. When the seasons are wet, you can get some nice reflections on that game in the rain and stuff.
You do take some nice pictures, you do. I got to give you that.
Have any of you guys checked out Horizon 4 on an Xbox Series X? Because I have not yet done that.
It looks beautiful. It looks sharper.
I can't give you a proper opinion because I don't own a proper 4K TV yet. I could afford the Series X, but not the 4K TV yet. So Mr. Tushi will give you a better idea on that one.
All in good time, Stubbs. All in good time.
It seems to me like they've upped the settings. It's still 4K. I can only run it at 60 because that's what my TV can do, which is annoying. But it looks a lot better. It runs so much smoother. Obviously, because it's running at 60 instead of 30 at 4K.
Gotcha.
But like, especially in the photo mode, you can get some nice shots on it though.
Because I've had an argument to you before. I have. Honestly, look, with Mr. Tucci, I'll go, that is not a game. That is an actual car. He's like, no, it's Forza. Because they look that good sometimes. I think they're actual cars,
Absolutely. And it's stunning. And it's ironic that we say that, given that we're 2 weeks removed from Dirt 5, people snapping PS5 versions of Dirt 5 and comparing them to the Xbox Series X versions because they weren't optimized properly. And then you look at a game like Forza Horizon 4, which was made for the Xbox One and PC, and it's just an interesting comparison. I don't much enjoy the one system better than the other, but I do think it's interesting to look at how important it is to optimize for a system and what it can do for the experience of the player and the snapshots of them when you see them.
Yeah, it is good to make the comparisons, but as you're right, it's not good to get in the stupid wars on Twitter. Oh, look, you know what I mean? It's annoying.
Just keep scrolling.
Keep scrolling or keep muting. Welcome, Better Man 77. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to Iggy Gamer. Welcome, Blue Moon FC. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome, Pong Soul, the man that literally appears in every single podcast chat in the universe. Welcome. Who else we got? That's about.
That's your favourite one. You've missed out your favourite one. Come on.
I have said Masuku. I've learned how to say that name well now, after getting it wrong a load of times.
Mr. Tushy's in there as well.
Welcome, Mr. Tushy.
He's always here.
Hello, VJ. What are your opinions on Forza?
I was introduced to Forza by Mr. Tushi, and I do play Forza 4 when I get the chance. And I did try Motorsport 7. I didn't quite get on with that, and I think it featured on last week's community gaming night. I started to play Forza 1 because I do sometimes enjoy playing driving games, sort of driving around aimlessly, and at times, and B, so I could better understand the makeup of Playground Games studios, especially in lieu of Fable. So so far, I feel that like for Forza Horizon 4 FH4, I mean, I'm not as sort of how can I put it, as familiar with it as Mr. Tucci is, but it does give me sort of, or provides me the best of both worlds in terms of an arcade racer and a simulation experience, as our guest pointed out. In terms of a sort of an arcade racer, I mean, I sort of go back to the days of like Power Drift, Daytona, or Sega Rally, and it's not quite those games. Although at times, you know, you could accuse me, you know, sort of reenacting Crazy Taxi, especially the mountain walls I crash into when I'm playing Forza. But but for Forza, it's close enough as an arcade racer on the surface level of the game itself. And I'm just trying to cast my mind back, because it reminds me, and it may have some sort of historical connections with Metropolis Street Racer on the Dreamcast. And it reminds me a lot of that. And but however, Forza Horizon 4 has a simulation-esque sort of depth to it. Does have a sort of simulation-esque depth to it, and you can go to a low-level degree of fine-tuning and customization, which is way beyond me for somebody who's not that interested in cars or vehicles. I actually spoke to Mr. Tucci, and I was switched over to automatic or manual, and as soon as I went to it, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be a really sort of sharp or learning curve for sure. But I don't think I'm going to have the time, patience, or wherewithal for it, given the amount of games that we've got to play and new games coming out. Anyway, speaking of worlds, I enjoy the fact that you can focus. What I like about the game is that you can focus on sort of career modes or racing, or if you simply sort of just want to explore Scotland, right? I know we keep saying Great Britain, but I'm assuming it is primarily set in Scotland, right? In its own right, on your lonesome or with friends. There's such a wide range of activities, which I also appreciate. I wanted to touch on besides the sort of outstanding sort of career mode that it's got, such as the sort of, I appreciate the stuff like the light, sort of very light RPG elements or scenarios, whether it's whether it's sort of completing the Top Gear events and objectives, or the stunt driver scenarios. I was stuck on one particular of the Smash About Town that took me a little bit while to sort out, but and visiting landmarks or purchasing homes, and I find it incredibly fun. This sort of also sort of, rather than just being a typical racing game, I just think it just lends to variety and gives the game strength and depth and consistent in terms of, especially with the consistency, I'd say, in terms of the updates and additional content for Horizon 04. And a lot of this information and my study of the game and has been sort of asking questions to Mr. Tucci as well. I've been picking his brain to know, and he can tell you. And
I've got none left.
Yeah, I know. It's, I mean, the amount of content in the game, it's like an embarrassment of riches almost, and they just keep continually add stuff in it. It's quite overwhelming, and I can't see the bottom of this particular rabbit's hutch or beer barrel, if you prefer. But and as I mentioned, Forza Horizon 4, you've got options, you've got accessibility, and there for any level of player and diversity. Whereas Forza Motorsport, when I jumped in, it very much reminded me of PlayStation 1 Gran Turismo. I haven't actually gone back to a Gran Turismo since PS2, I don't think. Sort of a full-on simulator where you can sort of race around 30-odd tracks. And I was curious to try the game, especially when Mr. Tucci said, hey, VJ, it's got like, licensed or it's actually mimics, sort of tracks such as, Brands Hatch and Silverstone. And so, it obviously caught my curiosity. And of course, I've got some nitpicks with the game, and so on and so forth. But and I've complained to Mr. Tucci about it. I said, "Is that it in terms of radio stations, tracks, and why don't we do more updates for it, and so on and so forth?" Also speaking to sort of other Forza players, we've got bugs, and Mr. Tucci especially, sort of certain bugs have started to resurface, and so on and so forth, which was not game breaking or anything like that, but it was interesting because I also asked him, was this patch, if it's never had bugs before, why is there suddenly, sort of bugs and stuff surfacing? And he mentioned the fact that, hey, look, the update, it has been outsourced, and I guess that's the truth of the matter. However, it does lead me to think of the possible future of playground games and Forza 5, right? And that was your question. And I prefer Forza 5. I'd like that game to come out, but and I was sort of talking to Mr. Tucci. So if I get anything wrong here factually, it's all Mr. Tucci's fault. So I understood that Turn 10
Good Dave.
created the Forza franchise, and Playground Games then set about sort of or were tasked with creating the Forza Horizon open world franchise. So correct me there if I'm wrong, Mr. Tucci. And Forza Horizon has seen sort of bi-yearly entries in the series, right, from 14 up to 16 and 18. And I guess we could make the assumption that, where's Forza 5? It should be out by now, or perhaps in 2020, 2021 or whatever. But then I think that Forza Motorsport has been announced, right, for 2021 release. So I'm assuming that it's never been an occurrence where both games have released in the same year. So in that respect, I don't mind if the game comes out in 2023, or if in fact if the whole game or franchise has been passed over to Turn 10, so that maybe this is from a very selfish point of view, that Fable is the sole focus of Playground Games, right? And I think that's super important for me in terms of like the location and so on and so forth. For me, I definitely would like to see the game based in Japan, because especially since they drive on the correct side of the road, as one does in Scotland, which is of course the left side, as nature quite rightly intended to, but obviously the Americans failed to pick up on it. But yeah, that then, and yeah, I hope that's a bit enough of a rant or a background on why I think Forza 5 is definitely something I'm looking forward to.
It's really good to hear, because you're new to Xbox, you had a long time away from Xbox, and you're new to the franchise, so it's good to hear you're really enjoying the game. But I think the biggest problem Forza has is when the Forza game gets old, you see, it's the music licensing as you go on about radio stations. Because what happened it was one of the Forza Motorsports, they give it away for free on gold and give all the DLC away, because I believe the music licensing deals that came up and the Xbox didn't want to renew them, so they just gave the game away for free rather than renewing the licensing fees. Is that correct, Luke? Yeah.
It is. I don't remember which one it was, but they did do something like that. I think it was
75.
Was it two?
It was £75 worth of DLC cards you could buy for about £2.50.
And they did that with Forza Horizon 3 most recently in heavy discounts for the DLC and for the game itself, trying to get people to purchase it so they could own it and re-download it later. But that is certainly a problem that not just the Forza series is having. A lot of games are running into that. And specific to the music license aspect of that, we're now seeing Twitch being very, very hard on streamers because of licensed music. And while that's its own issue unto itself, it does signify that the gaming industry is now having to adapt to the music industry and vice versa, because they will only rising tide lift all boats on that once they can figure it out. But it's an ongoing discussion, and Twitch has handled it very poorly. But
I will comment on that in a minute, if you'd let me, on the Twitch aspect. It's not something they can actually control. It's a law that the federal government have brought out, and if you don't comply, they will shut you down. It's that simple. YouTube will get having the problem. All the website, all the video streaming sites and video based websites like YouTube, etc., are all being subjected to it. If you don't comply, they can shut you down and give you heavy fines. So they're having no option. They don't know what to do, really. But they should pay a fee, shouldn't they? And say, if we pay you X amount, can we do it? There should be some middle ground.
Some middle ground where money can be made for everybody, I think, is the future. That they will find ways, litigations, they will find methods for contracts, and in future, and include streamer friendly modes.
That's a great idea.
Which is just got to happen, because it hurts the gaming industry when streamers aren't producing content for a game, and it hurts the music industry if music's not getting out there. And we saw this, in the long ago days. I don't know how old we all are, but I certainly remember Napster and LimeWire and downloading music.
I do, yeah.
I gave my computer cancer to download the latest Linkin Park albums at one point. And it was only through digital distribution and the understanding for how to monetize it that we eliminated those things, and we got developers and platforms a piece of the pie that they wanted. So whether it's all the money or some money or no money, some money is better than none. And so I'm sure they'll find a way somehow, some way to clean it up. But it certainly is a mess, no matter what franchise we're talking about at the moment.
It is. You're right. I mean, I remember when I played, I used to, on going back a couple of years ago, Gears of War 1 remastered. And I got hit by, is either strike or a claim. I was actually off the owner of the music for the Gears of War 1 music. It was actually off the guy. And I presumed that Xbox owned the rights to that music. I guess they don't own the rights to it. Gears of War 1 music.
That's strange.
I deleted my videos. I don't make money anyway, but I didn't really like them anyway. I deleted them. I didn't like the way my channel was going back then, but I got hit by a claim off the actual author of the music, and I was only getting like 20 views. So I don't know what his problem was. Do you know what I mean?
I was getting hit for posting Twitter clips, clips of a game on Twitter direct from Xbox Share. For The Crew 2, which highlights the end-all be-all problem. I was sharing a clip of a game from Xbox, from my actual unit, onto the platform with Xbox Share, and having that happen. And they don't want that to happen. That's not good for anybody, because it's a bad look. It's a bad look for all. So I'm sure in future we see them work to clean that up, but they've got to account for worldwide laws that are different in multiple countries and municipalities. So it's a different beast altogether.
It is, but I don't know why these game companies can't see it. It's advertising, free advertising, if you ask me. But it's usually down to the music that does it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the main problem. But yeah, you're right. So they've got to sort something out, because the problem is getting a lot of big YouTubers and content creators literally. When they make videos now, they just change. They're too scared, so they just take the music completely out and put their own music over the top. And someone said in chat that Cyberpunk's actually created a content creator mode or for streamers and people make videos. They have.
Yeah, I've seen that today on Cyberpunk. It comes up in the options saying, "Do you want to enable copyrighted music, or do you want to disable it?" And so if for streaming stuff like that, gives you the option in the.
That's good.
Which is good. Says you're getting your videos taken down.
Well, exactly. Especially when you're coming live to us from New Zealand now, Mr. Tucci, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll just went over the road to New Zealand for a bit. I might come back to England tomorrow.
The Xbox make it so easy to change the region, so games work.
I know.
Do you know that, Luke?
I've been on Cyberpunk all day.
You can play Cyberpunk straight away if you want.
I saw a few people were doing that. And I'll tell you, it's funny when I see that, because if anything is the last month and a half has shown me on my Xbox Series X, which is a genuinely great system, but it wasn't ready for prime time. Neither was the PS5. Neither were the games. There's save bugs. Games are crashing. Call of Duty, Watch Dogs, Valhalla. Man, maybe people shouldn't be rushing to play the day one version of Cyberpunk. Give it a little bit, and let them keep cleaning that up.
Yeah.
And if you're epileptic, this is a genuine, real thing. If anyone suffers epileptic seizures, just hold off until they patch that out, because they didn't cert them properly, and people are suffering that. And that's a very small niche case, but it does get to the overall problem. Yeah.
Well, there was a warning. There is a warning on the case, and I think there is a singular warning. I mean, I don't own the game. Tucci might be able to. I think there's a singular warning, an epileptic warning, as you start the game. But someone was saying, and again, I'm not 100% sure on this, that it doesn't happen every time you reboot the game. So this kind of kicks into the quick resume as well. It doesn't state that, so you could forget quick resume, and you could then, you could get this issue. But as you said, I think they are trying to patch. It's either a mode or something into it, which will hopefully reduce that aspect.
Yeah, and that's little stuff, but it's also potentially big stuff in terms of legal ramifications in different areas. And with all the progress that the gaming industry has made in terms of accessibility and bringing more gamers of all types into the fold, this seems to me like a fairly big oversight for something the industry has figured out years and decades ago. At this point, they'd figured this out, and it just seems like a strange oversight for a company that is as capable as CDPR.
It could be also, well, my theory on that, and again, maybe VJ will probably have to help me, is that potentially they are implementing software or trying to implement certain software which may have had a negative effect on at a late stage, because obviously they have been pushing this back, and when you push things back, it can be little tweaks, but sometimes the little tweaks can cause the biggest problems.
That's a good point. That's very true. Very true.
And so the trouble is, and this is the problem, unless you spend some serious amount of time going through every single line of code or every little aspect, you'll never catch everything. And so you kind of, the players are on first day, even with the first day patch, are kind of the beta testers still. We catch things which we don't normally see, or the developer or doesn't always catch. So I don't think it was intentional. It was just probably trying to rush a little bit to get things out, and this was just one of the things they just didn't hit. It didn't catch because they're trying to implementation. I don't know, ramping certain things up, stabilizing that frame rate. Again, we don't really know. But that's my theory, because CD Projekt Red seems to have a pretty good handle on things. But the way they released Cyberpunk, I think it's rubbed up a lot of people the wrong way. I think that's due to speed.
Yeah, and it's a shame when you have a game that big, bound to have things, and people deserve to have their art celebrated, CDPR included. And my hope is that people give it time before jumping the gun. And I also think that most people don't know about these issues, or the people frustrated, because we live in an echo chamber on social media in the game space, people that listen to shows like this versus just the common gamer who comes home from work, gets his food, and then goes to the TV, sits down for a game or two,
And again, I said developers. I really should have meant publishers, because I think the publishers were pushing for this release probably quite heavily rather than the developers, because everything I see from the developers is it will be done when it's ready. So I think the publishers have been pushing
CDPR actually self-published itself this game.
Yeah, when I say publishers, I'm talking potentially management.
Oh.
I have a gut feeling management is like, we need to get this out. When you've got the actual developers working at the game, it is not ready yet. And as management always does, they don't really ever listen to the people below. or they take a 50-50. We can weather this particular storm. So let's just get it out.
Yeah, just hopefully. Yeah, I haven't got the game yet. I will be getting it because I can't. Someone's game gifting me it, so you can't do it till it's been released. And I just think it's going to be an incredible game, regardless. I think
the bigger thing that which was kind of the biggest issue, and it's not related to the topic, is that review codes. That was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah,
and that's why it eludes me. Yeah, there's a lot of big reviewers who didn't get it in time, and my gut feeling was this again was a management issue, management choice, trying to push things out and not really handling it well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would, who knows though? We're such a big company. I can see it happening because after so long, they've got to work out how long they've been working the game, and we need to start making some money on this. But I would say this is just a guess that they broke even straight away and made profit. But I don't know the figures, but I would say so with a game of that size. But yeah, welcome Fastback. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, no, he said that in regard to Twitch and YouTube, they take a cut of your monetization, super chats, etc. So they should pay the music industry royalties for the streams. Now they do. It's just the music industry want more money than they were paying them. YouTube are paying them the minimum. And I don't think people realise how much money YouTube actually make out of you. We're talking billions upon billions. We're not talking pennies, And I think the music industry wanted in the billions. They wanted serious money. So that's why they've come down hard on them, trying to force YouTube to pay them. So it's a hard issue, that one is, But yeah, that could be a podcast in itself. So we'll try and move on from that one. It's quite a complicated one. It is. Right. We'll now move on to the next topic, which will we will go with this one here. I know a few people talked about this. May not happen. This is a theory. This is a theory kind of opinion one. Would you like to see Halo and Gears of War make a battle royale style mode, especially with Master Chief? Well, the Kratos has gone into Fortnite as well. Would you like to see it happen or not see it happen? What are your thoughts on that, Luke?
Man, well, that's an ongoing discussion constantly and it depends on the game. When it comes to Gears of War, I'm a diehard fan of both. I
found out that, and I like that because I like Gears of War, and you make me look like an amateur. You completed the entire season.
Yeah. Yes, it was. We were on holiday for Thanksgiving in the United States a couple weeks ago, and I spent some iron and I finished that up. Very excited for the new campaign DLC next week as well. But nonetheless, to answer the true question, I don't think Gears of War lends itself gameplay wise to a battle royale style genre. They've experimented a number of times. They added free for all back in Operation 2 for Gears 5, and I love that mode. But it kind of speaks to me that it's just not right for a battle royale style game. It's just not meant for that type of play. Alternatively, Halo, I think, is perfect for it. However, they have been very steadfast that Halo is not getting a battle royale. And I questioned that still to this day because we know the multiplayer is going free to play. And that is Warzone has taught everybody, even Activision, that being free to play is a good thing for a franchise if the game is good, mind you. And we have a lot of indications to say now that really Halo Infinite is shaping up far better than we perhaps might have doom and gloomed it a few months ago. And gameplay wise, it makes perfect sense. You're on a Pelican, you drop out of a Pelican, you jetpack down, you pick up different weapons. Maybe you land, you're not a Spartan, but you're an ODST, and you ODST drop in, and then you're picking up different weapons and vehicles along the way. You're on a unique Halo ring or damaged portion of a Halo ring. There's a lot of ways to make a Halo Battle Royale work. Alternatively, based on the leaks that we've seen from actual credible sources, mind you, not like rumor mill stuff, but we've seen art and concept designs and rendered or properly detailed versions of Master Chief being in Fortnite to accompany Kratos and whatnot. And it would make perfect sense that if Halo's not getting Battle Royale, then Battle Royale is getting Halo. And there's some credibility to that as well. I think that we've seen Microsoft make a concerted effort to get Master Chief back to iconic status, because Halo has certainly fallen out of the mind share, and with them redoing a lot of the aesthetics for Halo in Infinite to match some of the older school stuff, and then putting him in any number of commercials at this point. He was on the box for the Series X, for goodness sakes. All the marketing that they were putting into it. And I mean, even the most recent trailer by Taika Waititi, oh my goodness gracious, the director of Thor Ragnarok and several Mandalorian episodes, incredible director. He had Chief take his helmet off to see a dancing cat. They are playing with this Halo franchise and Halo to make it relevant again, and that's what needs to happen. So I'm all for a battle royale. To the long-winded answer to your question, I'm all for them experimenting with that genre, but I'm also for them making sure Halo gets into other places. And what better place than the world's most popular battle royale? So that's a long-winded answer to your question. I'm sorry I took so long.
No, you're fine. I mean, I actually am a Gears fan, and I don't play it that often, but I'm a Gears fan. But I do know that Gears doesn't fit the Battle Royale mode, but I just thought I'd better stick it in there as well, in case someone agrees with it. I mean, at the end of the day, Fortnite, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think Fortnite is becoming... by putting characters in there and doing themed events, it's kind of... They do more... Who's making noise?
Tushi.
I moved a bag of peanuts off the side of this settee. Sorry.
But no, he's getting hungry again.
Yeah, I think with Fortnite, as of the past few seasons, it's become the marketing tool for a lot of the films and Marvel, and it gets hype out there for certain. I could be wrong. I just see it as they're putting more games in there to hype other games up. Because hey, having Master Chief in there, although you're going to have to buy him, I know you're going to have to buy him because I bought Kratos, everyone.
I'll tell you this. I will play my first game of Fortnite ever when Master Chief gets in there. I've never played Fortnite to this day. Not through anything. But what better place to put Master Chief, to put Marcus Phoenix, to get a pirate from Sea of Thieves?
Wow, Marcus, I thought of him. Wow, I like that.
But why not? If Kratos, the god of war, and one of the best games ever, most serious games ever, can be in Fortnite, we can continue playing with franchises, and it only helps the franchise recognizability.
It's free PR.
It's free PR, and it'll be on mobile, it'll be on PlayStation, it'll be on Switches. That's what you want if you're trying to raise brand awareness.
Oh no!
Who's Kratos?
Oh my god!
He's winding you up. Don't worry.
Some Darksiders, I think.
I never heard of God of War. What's that?
Yeah, he's winding you up. He said it a lot. Well, saying that though, I mean, do you remember when recently Corey Barlog, he actually said that he didn't know what God of War is. He'd never heard of God of War. And people took him seriously. He goes on. Did they get nominated for some award or something at the Game Awards? And Corey Barlog replied with, "Never heard of it." And some fan didn't know who Corey Barlog was.
There we go. God of War.
There you go. He's got it.
There you go.
But no, you are right. Fortnite's becoming, well, really, but it's really part of pop culture when you think about it. Advertising and everything. You can love it or hate it. You're not going to kill Fortnite. I don't think anything can stop it. You know, I'll be honest. So it's a
boredom will kill Fortnite as long as it's consistently uploading new content. It will consistently be played. At the moment, it starts to get a bit stale with less content, just like most things.
Oh, it's updated weekly. This is the thing. It's actually rather than a lot of games wait ages, to patch games like with Halo or Gears or whatever. You have to wait a while for some of these patches to come in. Well, Fortnite actually update their game weekly, if not daily, for some patches. Well, I'm not saying they patch. Sometimes their patches are server side, so you don't get a download patch, but they are very quick at updating it rather than because it's a free to play game. They don't want people to stop playing it or buying the skins, etc. But would you like to jump in now? Removable Sanity has actually jumped in, which would be good. And I'm very impressed with you today. Have you got a new microphone? Gamer has suggested that has Removable Sanity got a new microphone? He's sounding much better.
No, the reason I'm sounding much better is that I'm at the bottom of my garden. I can now make a bit more noise. Where I was previously in the living room and annoying my missus who wanted sleep. So, yes, this is probably where you can probably hear me a little bit more clearer now. To answer your question, I think Halo lends itself to a battle royale. Whether or not it will happen, if it's going free to play, it would make sense. It would just make sense to place it in. I think every free to play model now has a battle royale mode. Almost now, and I think it just makes sense to put it in there. Maybe they'll put it in as a DLC though. You know, when it's one of those things, they say no now, but will they then throw it on as things get a little bit stale, maybe with the multiplayer, and then they just throw that in because they do seem to. If I remember correctly, with 5, they did add things on a regular basis. In terms of Gears, I probably wouldn't think it would make sense to have a battle royale mode. Probably what I would prefer, and this is probably going to wind up the Gears fans, is a first-person mode.
You sacrilege! You can't say that.
I so agree with you. Can you imagine?
Oh,
a
first-person mode where you could see yourself chainsawing a grub.
Mm-hmm. But also
imagine that.
The potential possibilities of in that universe of being part of the Onyx Guard, which is like their elite special forces, and their first person mode, they treat it like Sam Fisher or Modern Warfare, but like, you know, you have night vision goggles and special gadgets.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to explore Gears of War beyond third person cover shooting. They started to tease a little bit of it in Gears 5 with levels being wide linear. But and with escape mode having its own like DLC that's campaign based, they're really experimenting with it. Why not take it first person? The move to turn based strategy certainly worked. Gears Tactics is a genre.
It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. It does it really well. I thought it was going to be a gimmick when I first played it, and it's not. They have really worked hard to make that a pretty good, I would say not pretty good, actually a very good tactical game. It is a very good tactical game. So it would just make sense to say, hey, why not a first person mode? I know, again, to the purists out there, I'll probably get beaten up for it, but why not expand a little? But it doesn't make sense, you know. And then if you are going to do a first person mode, maybe battle royale, but I would probably prefer first person mode.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, they've got to do something. I mean, I'm going to get hated on now. They've got to do something to make Gears and Halo relevant again. These games used to be massive. You know, esports massive, fan bases were massive, and they just ain't what they were. You know, Halo's getting there. Halo Master's Collection, that multiplayer is really good. It is, but I'll let you carry on. So.
I think the trouble is, I think it started again. This is the problem with, I think it was ODST. I can't remember.
ODST.
Yeah, ODST. That was a great multiplayer mode. Great multiplayer, and then it started to kind of, I don't know. It started to be a little boring from the next ones. It got hyped up on 4, and I was like, I was a pretty heavy Halo multiplayer fan. I would go around with a hammer, bashing the hell out of people when I could. You know, it was a great play, but now it just seems to stagnated. That's the word I'm probably using for it. It looks like it's stagnated a little. So they kind of need to freshen it up with new ideas, new modes. The trouble is, if they follow the standard, if they follow everybody else in terms of modes, and it's going to, people will look at it and just go, oh, it's just a copy clone of this. It's nothing doing, it's no better or no worse. I think they need to try, instead of following the trend, set the trend, which they did originally. And now they've fallen behind the trend. And I think people are just like, look, as you said, you want to see something fresh. So, yes, certain games lend itself to the good boy battle, but I think, as I said previously, I think it better for me would be a first-person mode for Gears. And yes, I could see them having a battle royale mode, but I think they really need to up their game in terms of just doing something different. You know, do you know what? Maybe I think they did. You know, maybe a horde mode for Halo. Something, I don't know, something like that, maybe.
You mean like
that might work?
They have a firefight mode. Do you mean something like that, or something a little bit tweaked different?
A bit tweaked different, to be honest with you. Expanded upon that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
A bit like Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2. They did it wasn't a horde mode, but it was a more of a.
I can't remember the name of it now.
I know what you mean in that particular sense. That'd be neat.
I was on it with.
Yeah, if you know what I mean, it
Xbox
wasn't a
Live.
horde mode, but it was something like you held down the fort, and it was, you know, waves. It was waves, wasn't it? But it wasn't horde, if you know what I mean. It was a bit more tactical in certain aspects to it. I think they could do the similar sort of thing with Halo. In terms of Fortnite, it only makes sense to try and get these franchises onto that game because it's just a perfect PR element. It will elevate them. In fact, to be honest with you, I'd like to see, I'd like to see a Gears Marcus. I'd like to see Master Chief on some battle games. So, some fighters. Put it in as many different genres as possible. Get them out there.
Get Killer Instinct downloaded because there is Gears characters on Killer Instinct, the fighting game.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, I just on different fighting games, different genres generally. Just try and put it on different as many different other franchises as possible, just so that you do get the PR. What have you got to lose if you don't?
You're so right, because we saw the Halo levels in Forza Horizon 4. If you guys are just getting into Sea of Thieves, it's incredible, but there's also a ton of leveries from Gears and Forza and Halo and Killer Instinct. That they have a lot of cross representation there, and even Gears 5 has Halo characters in it. But amidst all that, it's like they're teasing, their toe is in the water, testing it, the cross-pollination of their franchises. There should have been more Halo and Gears levels and Sea of Thieves levels in Forza. There should be more characters from Halo in Gears and vice versa. Not enough to dilute the pool so bad that you're not sure what game you're playing, but more teases and crossovers would be a great way to celebrate franchises, even if you're not all about them in your particular game.
Skins,
like what they did in Forza.
Yeah,
they had the warthog in Forza, didn't
warthog in it. Yeah.
Did they? Oh,
yeah. And then it had also the ships flying over as it was as you was driving through. Stuff like that.
It did, yeah.
Just kind of freshen things up, get the PR out there. Couple of skin, different. Maybe some skins on different games. Yeah. It won't, as you say, as Luke was saying, it won't dilute the franchise. It will just elevate it slightly.
Yeah, no, you've all brought some great ideas. I mean, when you think about it, right? Recently, you might laugh, right? But recently, there was a big cross promotion with Gears of War and the New Day from WWE. Now, what if they put some Gears characters in the WWE fighting game? Wouldn't that be cool?
Why shouldn't they?
Exactly.
Yeah. Why couldn't they?
They were free. They were. They're not. I don't think they're available anymore. But they were free in the store. You had to go and download them, but they were free of charge.
It was a gift perk for those who had Ultimate.
Yep.
Yeah, but you could also. It was also available
on season passes, isn't it, as well? If you could win them, was it? Did you earn them? I can't remember.
No, you could purchase them as well, I believe.
Right.
Don't get me started on Gears of War Ultimate, where they rip people off. Because they did. It was £20 more on release, right? They said that you've got all these characters, no one else is getting them, and then they got overexcited because a lot of people playing the game, and they gave all the characters away to anybody who bought the game, even in Game Pass. If you bought the cheap version of Gears 5, you got all the characters the Ultimate Edition got, and it riled the people up. It really annoyed people because they spent £20 extra for nothing. It was a mistake on their part, but it did annoy a lot.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, put it under maybe a 6-month or a year banner.
Yeah, because
don't do it 3 or 4 months down the line because that's just going to wind up your existing base.
80 quid edition, and then they got excited because they seen the numbers were good, and they started giving the characters away for free, and people were like, "What's going on here?" Can't see why they did it, but I'm pretty sure they will not make that mistake again in the future. And Mr. Tushi, have you got any thoughts on this subject in hand about Halo and Gears Battle Royale?
Yeah, I'll start with Halo first. I think they should most definitely do it. It's an option. If you don't like it, you don't have to play it. they need to push the franchise bigger than what it is, because they've dropped back this generation. And they've only bought the Halo Wars and the was it Assault, then Gears 5. So Halo 5, and that's what they brought out this generation. So I think it'd be good. It'll pull a lot of people in, especially with the free-to-play on multiplayer as well. Regarding Gears, the way I see it is, I think they're too late, or it probably wouldn't work to do a battle royale regarding Gears, but they need to implement their own ideas for something like for example, Removable said, just implement their own ideas into something new.
Yeah, right. Do you mean like back in the day when Gears was the people don't know this? Gears were actually the innovator of the Horde mode. They are the ones that created it. They were the trendsetters, and now they're not.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone copied it and innovated since. But do you mean like that, Mr. Tucci? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, for example, here's a good one. Forza Horizon 4, it's got its own battle royale mode. They can implement that into their game in their own way. Surely they can figure something new for the Gears franchise too.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to think of it, don't they? You know.
I think they're a little bit afraid because they've been bitten by some bad press, and as you rightly said, they're now dipping their feet in there, and dipping their feet isn't helping them move forward as probably as quick as they should. They should just go, do you know what? Let's just do it. And whatever happens. But because they've had a few bit of bad press recently, where they've had a few bit of backlashes, they're now much more cautious.
They are getting better because at the end of the day, when you play, I don't play the multiplayer as much as I should, I agree, like Luke, but Luke's probably been incentivized to play the game so much because when you play multiplayer, you now grind towards and they give you and you earn rewards and you go up the ranks and you're earning coins. You can earn a lot of money. You can buy characters. That's incentivizing players to play the game, and that is a way. Gears is getting better. You know, I don't play it all the time because I get annoyed with people with lancers. I'd rather play just shotguns. I'm part of the problem, maybe. I'm part of the old school, but I'm open to new ideas with Gears of War, you know. But yeah, they got incentive, but that's not enough. They've got to push Gears to another level somehow, you know. Yeah, but sorry, Mr. Tucci, carry on. I got sidetracked there.
Welcome, not finished.
Infinite, and welcome Invader Gaming if you're still there. Sorry about that. I got too busy talking.
Fastback.
And Fastback, how you doing? Infinite and Invader. It's been good chat. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. VJ, have you got any thoughts on this subject, sir? VJ?
He's gone for a brew.
He's gone for a cup of tea, probably.
He's either gone for a brew or number two.
Both.
Yeah.
Well, let's both at the same time.
But no, I mean, Halo Gears probably won't work, but there is probably, if they could do something different and really different, not even like a battle royale, they probably could make. I don't know, because everyone when they seen escape mode gave escape massive high praise, but it's not really done anything for the game. I don't think it's brought more people into the game at all. I could be wrong, but this was this massive innovation. I don't know if it has. I mean, I don't know if anyone agrees with it. It just doesn't seem to be a big community in it, in the escape community. You know,
I've not tried that game mode yet.
I mean, have you played it, Luke? Do you think it's brought people back to the franchise or not? I don't think it's had an impact like Horde did when it was first invented, you know.
Yeah, so there's a lot to break down when it comes to Gears 5 because
we'll have to see. We will. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right. VJ, are you there?
No. One thing I think they could prove with the Gears multiplayer side is making them. I think the only way you can describe it is bigger. Like, for example, Horde mode. What if you could have 10 players and have 10 times the amount of enemies on there, make it a bit more wild?
Battle Royale, Horde mode.
I'll say something now. Going to get eaten alive now. Gears of War Battle Royale should be free to play, and Halo should be free to play. Battle Royale mode. Put them on the PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. Put them on everything.
Crossplay.
I knew that would invoke a reaction.
Well, they've certainly experimented with Gears 5, If you look at Gears 5 now versus launch, it has double the amount of content that it once did. A lot of the narrative in Gears 5 was expanded on, and they added some story elements that we'd not seen previously in the franchise. They really thought escape mode was going to be something big, and it turned out to not be. However, it did bring some good ideas to it, and the characters people seem to like from the comic books and whatnot, because I am that nerd guy. I think what you're seeing right now with this story expansion, that was not initially planned, but the reception to the narrative and those characters led them to doing this. And I think this is really a testing ground to see if this type of content delivery is what they want for Infinite as well, and other places. Sea of Thieves has been doing regular content updates and small drops seasonally. If they're now doing $20 3-hour expansions to a game like Gears to keep it, lively, that's, I believe, exactly the platform that Infinite is going to be for Halo. And it's worth mentioning also, this is what Halo 4 attempted way back in the day with Spartan Ops. So I think what you're seeing is the fruits of those previous labors, and they're trying to seed ground to bring even more content to bear later on. Tonight, they're experimenting, I guess, with economies.
I would definitely agree, because we haven't seen it in Gears of War since Gears of War 3 with Gears of War Ram Shadows DLC. That was the last time it was seen in the game, where you had story-themed DLC. So I hope it's great, and I hope it works, because it will be a great benefit if it could bring more games in every so often you get. Because from what I understand, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, the DLC's free, and if you don't, you got to pay $20 for it. I believe it is for that new story DLC. I just hope it works. But they try these things, but it's like when they launched Gears. I mean, they put about $1,000 worth of skins in the store, and you couldn't earn any of it, and that is where Gears got a lot of gripe for. They were like, why can't you earn these skins? Because you just got to buy them, and they made them limited. So you either bought them or you lost them.
That's what lost me on Gears 4. Yeah. I was like, no, not interested.
No, not that. You're on about loot boxes, baby. That's what you're on about.
I will tell you now, though, I really like the economy currently in Gears 5. For all the mistakes they've made in the past, current method has really turned me back on to the ideas of unlocking characters the way they have them now. And every character that can be bought, with the exception of esports, with real money, can be earned with in-game currency now a week later. And that's smart. I think that's a very smart thing, because it lets players support the game if they are so inclined, content creators, etc., but also lets you unlock stuff. I've spent a lot of time enjoying unlocking characters with free-to-play currency and not spending iron. And we're on about Gears of War, but I really think they're doing a good job at rectifying the economy. And my understanding from various people that work there and otherwise is that a lot of it is just a matter of differences of philosophy from Rod Ferguson prior to his departure, and not in a bad way. Yes, but
because I thought I could be wrong, but a lot of the Gears community believed that Rod Ferguson and a couple of other people in the company that have now left were part of the problem, and that's why things have gone wrong. But if you've got inside sources, you could be correct.
No inside sources. Don't misunderstand me. What I mean to say is that, like, in developer streams, they will note that certain elements of the economy were Rod enabled, and now that he's gone, they have more flexibility in those areas. That's what I mean to say. I don't mean to imply
a bit more freedom to do
to play around and be.
So I was right, basically.
To an extent, yes, and there's ways to interpret it, because I really think Rod Ferguson helped that narrative and that gameplay in the campaign, right? But being silly in multiplayer, maybe not, right? It's your baby. You want to protect it. Sometimes we're too protective as parents or stewards of a franchise. So take the good with the bad. This is not inside source stuff they've mentioned on developer streams in passing, but never vitriolic, never hostile, never attacking Rod or vice versa.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. But yeah, I've got a very good point, because I don't believe that if it weren't for him, I don't think. Do you really believe they would have gone in the direction that they let Kate be the lead character? I don't.
I don't.
I love the fact that Kate was lead, but there was a lot of toxicity in the community. A lot of gamers hated it because there was a female character lead. I loved it. I thought that was great.
I think Kate is the transition onto the next generation. And if you have a beloved set of characters, well, let's face it, Marcus and his story is a beloved story by his community. Whatever you do, if you have a problem, the same thing happened with Mass Effect in terms of Mass 1 to 3. And then what were they going to do with those characters? 3 kind of ended it. The same thing here with Gears. It ended his story. So it's like, how do you keep the franchise going, but slowly transition, passing of the torch from your beloved character to a new set of characters? So they had to do something. I like the fact they've kept them in there, but I think it's going to be a phased out. I'm hoping there isn't going to be a scene where we lose some characters. It's just more of a phasing out rather than a particular death scene like in 2. But I think this is it. It's the passing of the torch. Is this one, and I think we might see less and less of the older characters in future games, which is how it should be. It's, if you want to keep the franchise alive, you're going to have to come up with fresh characters and new stories. One of the reasons I like Gears Tactics is because they've done exactly that. It's not, it's a new character, new set of people, and it actually works really well.
Yeah, and it branches off. See, I'd imagine Luke listened to this story or read this comic, but there was a comic that led you in, a graphical novel that led you into Gears 5, and Kate's uncle Gabe Diaz was in it, and this is where you're learning. Well, obviously you played Ruble Sanity, you have played Gears Tactics, so that's about Gabe Diaz's family and what he was about, and that's where it's branching storylines. So, and I also suggest that you buy the graphical novel, or there's an audio version on Audible of that book. There is. It leads you into Gears 5, and that really is really good. It leads you in. I just wish they would have put that at the start of Gears 5. It may have helped people a little bit to know that bit of that extra bit that lead into it to bridge
the gap. Don't know if there's going to be some flashbacks in the next one. Let's face it, there's always potential to do flashbacks. They did it with 1 and 2. You never know. I think they even did it with Kate's mum, didn't they? They just So I think there's still potential for it to happen. But that's the progression of a beloved franchise.
It is. Welcome, Crispy Bomb. There's quite a few people came in now. Welcome, Cerebral Paul. Welcome, Crispy Bomb. Welcome, I Still Rain. Welcome, Life of EML. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, that was a really good topic. That took us quite a bit to get through. So that was quite. VJ will be back. He's had a problem. He will be coming back. I gave him a quick call while you were talking, and he is coming back. Right, let's
making a brew.
No, he's not. It's something he needs to help his wife with. That is.
Okay, no worries. Yep.
Where are we? Let's get to the next one now. Where are we now? This one here. This is one VJ wanted to talk about, so he should be back soon. The PS5 setting their prices at $70 price point. Is this a good thing for the industry as a whole?
Is the question too on this one?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'll talk on the $70 version. Okay, yeah, I'll go first. Yes, it is a good thing. We've seen too often the attempt by the gaming industry to offset costs in, I would argue, rather predatory ways. And we know that, and for 2 generations, the cost for games was the same. I like seeing, and this kind of refers to our previous topic, I like seeing the experimentation for how to monetize games without being predatory or abusive. We talked about Gears and the expansions. We talked about Sea of Thieves, and they use an Emporium, but the game is pretty much free to play if you have Game Pass, as are many of them. $70 price point is necessary for the industry to continue making games at the level it was making, particularly as the rising cost of fidelity and the amount of effort that goes into AAA experiences. But one of the things that's interesting about this $70 price point is that's the max right now for AAA, seemingly, but everywhere in between is fair game for any sized game. And with the rise of subscription services and the continued ability to support games with microtransactions that are not impacting gameplay, I am totally okay with this, and it really just doubles down on the incentive to utilize subscription services like Game Pass, which adds so much value to you. So I'm fine with it if the games are the level of Miles Morales. I'm not fine with it if I'm getting a Crackdown 3, right? So there's a wiggle room in that. And when a game's $30, I'm far less critical of it than if it's 60. And then what if it's a game that's on sale? There's middle grounds on a lot of these topics, but I'm okay with the $70 price point.
I would happen to agree with you, because we live in most of us in this show live in the UK. Now we are already at 70. If you can do the conversion, we're already there, $70. So it doesn't, we're actually already there.
And that won't be what we get.
But we might get. Whereas it's it varies from physical. Basically, the games in the UK vary from 50 to 65-ish. It varies. Normally in the 60 mark. But if it is a precedent of 70, we will get it to go up. So we could be hitting more 65 to 70. That's a fear instead.
You look at Australia, which is already around 100.
These Australian dollars are worth a lot less, though. By the way, they're not like US dollars.
It's between 1 and 130, I think, in Australia.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Something
it is
like that, yeah, it's really
phenomenally expensive.
But I'm with you on this, Stubbs. The UK prices, it's already at that $70 mark, and it has been for a long time. So it makes no difference to us really over here, does it?
Yeah, but
it will do, because it'll rise.
It could rise.
It's always going to rise, isn't it? Because of inflation and stuff, isn't it?
Well, historically, I suppose I'd apologise for diving in here. I didn't want to be here.
No, I should talk more.
Sorry, yeah, no. I said I can talk now. It has happened many times throughout the history of gaming. It's happened around the 90s. It happened around the 2000s. It has jumped to these prices before, and there has always been a knock-on effect in terms of people buying games when we hit these prices. It generally means, people's, I would say, cash flow for games hasn't really evolved, because there are many other things that people need money for, and so there's still a budget, I think, for a lot of people in terms of games. So hitting the £70 price point, for me, I'm not happy with it, because there is particular reasons for it. As we're seeing now, certain features are being removed from games, for the AAA games. Multiplayer modes are now being removed and put in as free to play, so they can monetize those. So we're already getting, potentially, from what previously we had, less potentially in some than what we normally get. Also, the PR budgets for these AAA games are horrendous and have only increased with time. You could easily cut down on PR budgets and still provide some amazing PR. When you're paying a particular streamer or a particular YouTuber billions of pounds or hundreds of thousands of pounds, or even you're spending billions of pounds in terms of PR, you could cut that down and you could find alternative ways to still get that out there and showcase this off. I think what I'm seeing is 70 is the push again to bring games up and make more money. Budgets are getting bigger and bigger. I know, I do appreciate that softwares and its time is getting harder and harder, but at the same time, I think it's a kind of a two-way street. I think the $70 push is going to be there to try and help subscription services.
It's a very good point. I just Googled how much 130 Australian dollars are, and it's quite a difference. It's actually 72 quid.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So it does sound, when you say $130, that does sound like a lot, but the conversion to our money, it's $72. But then again,
72 quid. That's
still a lot, though.
If you've got, it's a lot. You think about a family, and this is what I said. This is why I think it's a push to help push people into subscription services, because if you've got a family, you've got 2 kids, they want 3 or 4 games. That's a lot of money already. That's birthday and Christmas blown out the water. And it has happened previously where, what it ended up happening was the prices went up. I think it happened with the 32X, Sega Genesis 32X. I think one of the games there was Doom, and I think it was around £80. And a lot of people were complaining back then. And what happened was that other games faltered for it. It actually stopped people buying games in other areas, in other genres, so where one would get an increase, it faltered in other areas. So again, I think this is more of a conservative push, so that a subscription service is seen as the better option, which in terms of Game Pass ultimately it currently is. It is the best option in terms of quality. It's just, I think it seems a bit more of an underhanded tactic. I can see, if you think it's almost like a PI, you can see why they're doing it. Same reason in terms of physical media. They're trying to push this out, get rid of it, put it into a subscription-based service, which then they could ramp up or utilize to better suit more money. Again, this is just my thoughts on this. I'm sure VJ and Luke will probably have a different opinion on me on that one.
I do agree with you, because obviously I know it's in the chat that's not what Phil's doing. No one's elaborated. It said that it's Phil, but what the problem is I was reading, because VJ sent me an article. Now this is all linked. Everyone thinks that PlayStation isn't getting a version of Game Pass. Now the statistics say currently that from their official PlayStation financials, that last year they had a physical sale, digital sales of, I think it was 53 or 56% in digital download sales. Now this year, I know we're going to, because of the pandemic.
You got COVID. Pandemic.
Yeah, it's been 76% digital, but Sony will just keep looking at it, and eventually they're going to push that button and do it an equivalent of Game Pass, and then there's more to the meaning of $70. And people think that PlayStation have no interest. Once they see Game Pass hit its peak, and they think it's worth it, they will push the button if they're not already planning to do it. Because quite often it takes PlayStation quite a while after to follow what Xbox has already done. So
they're letting Xbox take the forefront here to try. If you let someone else take the risk, and then you try and capitalize on it, it makes obvious sense in that regard.
Yeah. So basically, Xbox is the trendsetters, kind of. Yeah, but no, it's an interesting topic. It is. Welcome, Fun Speculation. Welcome back from the dead. Thanks for stopping by. VJ is back, by the way.
If anyone cares.
Of course we care.
Now it's time for VJ to dive in.
Hey?
Yeah.
What's that?
Now it's time for you to dive into your topic.
I'll go after Mr. Tushi.
No, you go first.
He's desperate for you to go.
Oh, God. Just give me a second. Sorry, just trying to put my thing back together. That's why I wanted Mr. Tushi to go to let me settle. Put my stuff bits and pieces.
I've already spoken. I don't have much to say on this topic really. They're always going to go. They're always going to rise, aren't they? The prices, but
then you're right. But there are also people.
Okay, so sorry. Go ahead, Stubbs. Sorry.
So the way that the gens are going and stuff, all the new implementation of all the new stuff that's coming out and all the new tech they need and so on. So price is always going to rise, and so I mean, they always find other ways of making money as well. So it shouldn't have to go up too much.
Yeah. As far as I can tell right now from what I've seen is that that next gen games that I think that are on PlayStation 4 and 5 are the same price, right? Over here anyway. Yeah. So
they are. Yeah.
In the UK, I can't speak as much because I don't really jump onto Amazon or a game or anything like that.
If you go onto Amazon in UK, like for example, Valhalla's, I think it's about £55, and they're both the same. They're both on both consoles. They're both the same.
Really? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's quite cheap actually for here.
Yeah.
But Amazon can cut the prices though, can't they? Because they're a big company.
Yeah. But remember, you've still got the erroneous government tax, right, of 20%, which adds a huge whack onto the UK pricing, right? So, I mean, some PS5 games, obviously, I've seen them over here, right? The new sort of standard set high price of $70. But I think InsipidGhost said something earlier. But let's be clear, Japan and South Korea have been paying more than $70. I think even up to $84 since for console games since before even the beginning of last gen, right? So we've also covered off on a previous show the incredible console game prices and console prices, right? Of 16-bit and 32-bit consoles back in the 90s, right? Consoles ranging anything between $200 to $500 in games. You know, on the Super Famicom, the Super Nintendo, and the Street Fighter used to be about £100 or something. You know, so I mean, you could argue several first-party games from Nintendo, and again, we've discussed this. I'm just adding a little background context to everything I'm going to say. So, from Nintendo, they don't even warrant sometimes $50 price points, let alone a $60 price point, since some are typically completed in under several hours, I would say, and are by far, for me, limited in terms of several aspects relating to production values, right? And we can look at that and analyze that, but yet they still have a hardcore set of fans that will buy the games, and some of those franchises that Nintendo has still sell in the tens of millions, right, of copies per title, right? Not even amalgamating, a number of titles. So, and then obviously I've been sort of seeing, a lot of people saying, yeah, Sony may have sold so many consoles, 100 or 115 or whatever that number is right now, but but their first party games barely penetrate from the outset. 5 or 6% of the total user base, and then over lifetime, maybe 15% at the top end, right? In terms of what they put out in terms of their first party titles. So I think that Sony have looked at a few things. I did calculation on a few of their first party titles, and I think it's more like 4% of their install base purchase or a new first party release at full price during the launch window, which is typically like 2 to 3 months. Sometimes you can stretch it to 4. And I know you can already see Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us, right? Ghost of Tsushima being out for, I think, 4 months, and it sold 5 million. And Last of Us
is also like that, isn't it? That's still quite a high price.
Yeah, and Last of Us sold 4 million in 5 months, but both were available now at $39.99 during the holiday promotion season, right? And that was really key for me. So the question is that would 3.5% penetration, not the sort of thing you're thinking of, Mr. Tushi, warrant the label or category of niche market or segment of the install base, and I think it does. 3.5% to me represents a niche percentage of Sony's total install base. And then another question would be dropping, Sony's going digital. So if even if regardless is digital, but then why doesn't Sony just drop their launch price to $50 instead of $60 and increase their sales potential for a first party title? So, and I've been thinking about that as well. And I think the niche segment of gamers, the hardcore gamers, Xbox has them, Nintendo has them, Sony has them, understand that have been in the Sony ecosystem, understand exactly what Sony is offering and represents with its first party games. And I think they are prepared to pay the $70 per title. I touched on Japan. Why? Well, there's some really obscure games out there from some really obscure publishers we've never even heard of, right? And one of the games I don't know if it was on Game Pass or something. Anyway, I just saw it sort of lurking somewhere on a website, maybe Captain Tsubasa, which is like a football RPG game over there, which none of us will ever play. None of us have probably even heard of, and it's a costly game to make, and for a very small segment of the marketplace, and only primarily in Japan. And the people are prepared to pay $80. So it kind of leads me to believe that, yes, Sony do big marketing. We think these games are huge. Obviously, they cost a huge amounts, but I'm wondering how much money they actually make on these games, right? And for me, games are, whether it's indie games or high-end games or games you haven't heard of, just the term horses for courses comes to mind. Over decades, Nintendo and Sony have shown increased quality and quantity of titles over the lifespan of the generational hardware. And people say Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo, since going digital, now save like millions of dollars in terms of sales margins to retailers. They don't have to pay the rep fees, the logistics that the warehousing, that doesn't need as much. And forget about all the DADC manufacturing plants. Those are going to, becoming more and more obsolete, right? Who's buying disc these days? And not forgetting the diminishing secondhand market as we do transition over to the secondhand market. As far as I understand, you can't resell a digital copy of a game. So I know this part, and I know the argument because I made it myself. So, and I've even broken down on Boom Show exactly almost to within dollars, right? How much extra profit per unit there is on the surface of such calculations, right? But for me, it's the biggest issue for Sony, and this is something that you just hit on, Removable, in terms of, they could, instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars here or millions of dollars over there, maybe there's a better way, a more practical, maybe a more efficient way of spending those funds, right? And in terms of creating awareness and obviously we know a lot of their business models at Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft is geared towards pre-ordering, right? But obviously, I think for Sony, and especially in Japan, where they're pulling product off of retail and where Xbox games aren't even on retail shelves, that you've suddenly then got a lack of retail facings, right? Because typically, our generation, again, I don't know how old everybody is, but, we normally go to malls and so on and so. Obviously, we can't because of the pandemic, but prior to that, we would go there, we'd see something on the shelf and we'd go and buy it, right? And I think that not having retail facings, people not being able to physically see your product, I think that some of this marketing activity may actually start costing more, and I might have to start doing more, right? I'm not in England, so I don't know how much advertising is going on there between Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo. And over here, I don't really watch any terrestrial TV. So, and production costs since the beginning of last gen have gone up significantly. Given the demand of high quality talent in the games industry, recruitment fees and salaries, I think, have gone up exponentially. You only have to go look at what Google and the Initiative, is it, the studio over here in Santa Monica, amongst EA, Sony's, and Activision studios, and the money that they are paying to devs in Santa Monica. Extrapolate that out over a 5-year period on a gamble of it on a new IP. Well, you can do the calculations yourself, and you can see where the millions in savings that we think that they are making, via digital delivery, is now having to be spent. Sony are now having to keep up with very rich players with deep pockets in the industry, and that's without, is it Amazon and Google, we're thinking that are going to probably step in some sort of shape, way, or form. Well, Google we know about, but Amazon's the other one, right? Now, I've touched on a few things here, given the restrictions of a podcast and my energy, because and my voice and so on and so forth. But suffice to say, I don't think the truth is never pure or very simple, right? And suffice to say, as I say, 4 million or 5 million copies, even if 70% of those sales are via digital for the publisher or platform holder, need to be sold to recoup marketing infrastructure costs. I remember a report from EA, right, where they were saying, look, unless we're selling 4 or 5 million copies of a game, it just isn't worth our while, over a 4-year or 5-year investment of whatever it is, $100 million plus. It just isn't worth it for them, right? So with more time hunting facts, perhaps the needle shifts either way. I don't know. I don't really have the time or the patience probably right now to do that, and no one pays me to do it, obviously. But given the historical sales patterns of first-party games and Sony's future and their intent in terms of increasing investment and thus the quality of their first-party games, and we cover this on the show. I think I've covered it on a Green Pass Gaming show with their Next Gamer, right, in terms of money having to be put into into infrastructures and so on and so forth to cater for these new hardware systems, which I think broadly speaking, Sony, for me, are following sort of like almost like the Nintendo in terms of having their sort of IPs and so on and so forth, but following that kind of investment level, maybe not to that level, but like of Rockstar or CDPR. And CDPR are in a really good position because they can afford to invest, because only costing them a third of the development costs as if they were developing that very game over here in the US, right? But again, it's people. We'll look at this point to Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's done 20 million units and so on and so forth. But again, how many games do Sony have that don't hit the mark, right? And I mean, I only have to look at Death Stranding or Days Gone, and I think that Sony took a gut punch with those two games, right? So they've got to offset the losses of those games as well with the ones that do make money. So at the end of the day, as far as I see it, I'm always reluctant to pay, full price for a game, because sometimes games depreciate in price so quickly. I'm not somebody that has to play the game on day one, right? And let's be honest, you're not forced to pay the $70 to Sony. You can choose to wait, or you can wait for the prices to come down. And you guys know in the UK how quickly game prices come down so quickly in the UK, right? In the UK market, right? And then you have to, and then another, what was it? God Awful, was it, anyone? Sorry, that was a poor joke in relation to what's that? The game Godfall, was it? Game that came out recently.
That was a poor joke.
Yeah, very poor. I'm definitely going to pick that game up. But and gamers are fickle, and that's the people. Sony need a model that keeps them healthy, and they can work hard to deliver what they can. And the same can be said for Game Pass, I think. So, right, you're not forced to subscribe to Game Pass, purchase Xbox games, but at the end of the day, you do have to accept the quality of content in Game Pass with a lot less complaint. And I'm sorry that that will lead to what I call, something called like, familiarity sort of breeds contempt. Slowly, we may well be sort of remodified to slowly accept small incremental sort of steps towards poorer production, values in terms of quality of content, as the shift, I think, is going to come between where 80% of the people that support the 15 million or whatever that number is at the moment in terms of subscribers are hardcore and support the kind of games that we want to play today. But I'm looking at what Thatcher is saying, what Phil is saying. Hey, and that shift is that 80-20 is going to shift. I think where the 20% become the majority, and they are light users, and they're a completely demographic, and they like different types of content. And then what does that mean for us going forward? And if you want to see how content is shifted, just look at Netflix over the last 23 years. That really does give you some sort of insight in terms of what's happening. But I have a real sort of concern right now that I've been talking for a considerable amount of time. So I'm just wondering if I should just stop there. Hello?
No, still here. No, you've got a very interesting point, VJ. It's a very complex subject, though. It is. There's not just one answer for it. There's multiple reasons why companies can do it, and as you're right, it's not like exclusives in general. Even on Xbox, is a minority of the player base. Unless you're on Nintendo.
See, the thing is, right? See, I'm happy to pay, $100 for Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy VII, Zelda, even Luigi's Mansion, because they give me exactly what I want from a game. They give me the entertainment. They provide me the engagement that I want. And I've also seen recently, some people judge a game by its length. Oh, look, it's only 5 hours. It's DLC. It's $50. Oh my God, you're getting completely ripped off. But I take a kind of a philosophical issue with these specific people. Do we judge the quality or value of a painting based on the size of the canvas it inhabits, right? Yeah. Whether it's realistic, abstract, or pointillism, it's all subjective at the end of the day. Or do we judge, or do we judge paintings on how popular or beloved a painter was, or the artist's command of color, or simply if a particular piece of art indeed captures and speaks to us in a way we can't begin to describe? Again, how can you judge something like that? It's kind of almost ridiculous, right? And I mean, okay, let's take music for example. We were talking about music earlier, right?
In there for a minute, VJ. Sorry, InsipidGhost has to go now. I'd like to thank you for coming on, Luke. Much appreciated, mate, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and have a chat with us.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate you rescheduling me, because I know I ended up double booked last week, and you guys are awesome, and I had an absolute blast chatting games with you guys, and I hope you'll have me on again.
Oh, yes,
Definitely.
most definitely. Do you want to tell people where they can find you and your amazing podcast you do every week?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You guys can find me on any and all podcast services. Just search the Xbox Expansion Pass, Spotify, iTunes, etc. And I hope you guys will be willing to check that one out for sure. And over on Twitter at InsipidGhost as well.
Thank you, Luke, for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
All right, guys. Have a great one. Appreciate you guys.
See you soon.
Yes.
Sorry, BJ, carry on there.
I think I forgot my point now, but it was something to do with music or something like.
Yeah, it was basically people judging basically. This game's only 10 hours and 50 quid on being ripped off. It's quite disrespectful to developers in general, really, that have put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, so and you just reminded me there. So, do we judge a song's value, meaning or popularity by its length, or the lyrics used, the message it's carrying, or the instruments, beat, rhythm, or number of band members or backing vocalists supporting the singer? We don't.
No,
if it touches us, if we yearn for it, or if it gives us joy, then I think then there shouldn't be anybody sort of pointing a finger or standing in the way of someone else's enjoyment.
No,
like Mr. Tushi and his Savoys.
Savoy.
Okay, I'm going to shut up now because I think.
What am I seeing now?
Sleep.
You got it.
Yeah.
Hey, finally.
I got it. It's finally wrong.
I think VJ, you're looking at it from a perceived value versus actual value. So if we take on, for instance, Cyberpunk 2077, the value you potentially will be getting out of that game is exceptionally good. If you look at, say, 2K's collection of games which are recycled every year and then pushed out at the top end price, then we would argue that isn't the case. And I think maybe, and again, I probably fall into this category here, which is why I'm always a bit resistant to price increases, is that I guess we fear, as you quite rightly put, a reduction of quality. And it's just it's £70, the gamers will buy it regardless, which is exactly what a lot of the 2K games kind of pump out. When you see games that have got the 2019 attribute assets still in the game.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. You beat me to the punch there.
Oh well, there you go. Stuff like that. When you see that sort of stuff, you can kind of fear this. So I suppose in a way, with the price point still at a bit lower, I suppose we kind of feel that the developers and publishers have to work hard to ensure that the quality is met. I think you're quite right. It is a quality versus.
Yeah, I think the two things that you've got a community, you've got a generation that don't like waiting. They're very impatient. They want everything on that day. They want to be first.
Tushi.
Mr. Tushi. No, Mr. Tushi is a gaming connoisseur, gaming savant, in my opinion. But even if the price goes up, I'll just point to Newton's law, right? So, and if you're not familiar with Newton's law, it's what goes up must come down. So, but the thing is, I think that Sony have got a very specific business model. That the audience that they're catering for is so niche, and I've calculated it myself, and I think 3.4% is niche. 5 million copies of a game is not a lot, but given the amount of investment that they put in, but they need these staples to drive their key strategy, which is to sell hardware, because they believe install hardware tie ratio is where the profits lie. Now that is a traditional model, and I think like you said, removable, that maybe these price hikes are coming, so that when they do introduce their how can I put it? They're sort of similar-esque or to Game Pass, that that it will fly. And looking at Microsoft, and someone mentioned this, that they're leading the pack and everything. But remember, in war, or even historically, and even in business-wise, if you've been in it for a long time, that if you're leading from the front, then you're providing guidance for those that are behind you, and it's very, very true and very, very effective. And that are those are the strategies that Nintendo and Sony are employing, because they're Japanese, and one thing they are very good at is sitting, observing, and contemplating, right, before they move and before they act. You know, they're very conservative. And then you have US companies that are very different in terms of how they approach, how they go about conquering, and what their business philosophies are, right? I'm going to shut up now again for a second.
No, you're all right. I mean, the problem is, like Matt Barnes in chat is saying, exactly, don't release buggy games. But I think we referenced it earlier. It's not the developer's fault. It's a lot of the time it's the publisher saying, we need to make money on this now. It's coming out regardless if it's ready. You know,
what that's called is a point of diminishing returns, right? And you know, where sometimes you've got to go with it, and then you just got to deal with it the best you can, and that's why they pay their teams big money for PR and marketing. That's why, you know, and they could take a leaf out of Microsoft's book, right? I mean, I've been talking to Mr. Tushi for a while. I know I bug him to death, but it's just because I want to get educated, right? And I haven't been in the ecosystem for a considerable amount of time. And when he tells me, hey, look, content is updated, bugs is the fix, you know, you get free content, you know, and then there's constant, you know, sort of communication with the community, and they provide them benefits on a consistent basis. And these are the sort of things that I'm learning that Microsoft do very well, that I think Nintendo and Sony should be looking at, and looking at how to implement those things, because I think for Microsoft it's working a treat, and it'll only go forward as more and more people speak about it in order to build their brand, which
historically that wasn't always the case. They have had to learn that, you know. And
yeah, true, they were very non-transparent.
It wasn't always the case. They are 10 times better than what they previously were. It feels like a wave at the moment. They get up high and then they come back down again. Then they get up high and again they come back down again. And it's just, you know, it's hard to find a consistency. Where, as you rightly said, with Sony, they like to know, they contemplate, they know where they're going. It's been a slow, steady progression in terms of where their end goal is. They've got a clear path, and no matter how long it takes, they will slowly get their way. Where it does seem with Microsoft, it is, let's see what flies the best. And hope it works. That doesn't work. Okay, we'll try something else.
I can't sort of attest or sort of counter that, really. Only Mr. Tushi can. I mean, he's been in the ecosystem for 20 years, and I'm just going to keep saying Mr. Tushi as often and as consistently as I can, just to annoy the indie gamer in the chat.
Maybe we should take a drink every time we say my name.
What do you think, Tushi? Do you think would that be a good assertion of Microsoft? It is like a wave of, or
why
am I talking up bum?
My mind's gone blank at the moment.
Do you feel like when you first started into the generation, into Xbox, they were very transparent, they were very clear at their goals? I think potentially for the 360 they seem to be. Then it kind of pattered out.
They were on the ball when with the OG Xbox and the 360 regarding the games. They were just throwing them out, weren't they?
They were. Then the problem is they got, because I didn't have the OG Xbox, I had the Xbox 360 and I loved it, and they were on top. And then they got cocky. They hired someone called Don Matrix, and he destroyed the Xbox brand. You know,
I think the problem
I think it's a little bit unfair to put it all on him. I think, you know,
there's more.
I think he was
the front man that got it, basically.
He didn't help, but I feel he was the perfect scapegoat. I think he was pretty much the yes man to the top tier management who really didn't know what they're talking about. Which is anyone who deals with management knows most management are like that.
Yeah, but I believe, from what I've heard of rumours, I don't know, etc. There was a guy on the Microsoft board of directors who did not like Xbox, and all funding was blocked, and that's what I believe a lot of the problems were. loads of rumours have came through about it. I don't know his name, but it has been named many times as this certain guy, and he was once Phil got round the table, and this guy was removed from Microsoft. He was quite powerful. He kept blocking Xbox like he wanted to destroy them, you know. So as you say, it wasn't just him; it was people higher up, but they're actually part of the board of directors at Microsoft. You know, now
I must admit, I always did feel he was more of a yes man than someone who was there to innovate. Phil, and again, I'm not being attained to this. He generally feels like this is more feeling than knowledge. That he's there to try and get back to where we was. He wants to get back to the legacy they kind of held. And again, he's probably still answering to a lot of things, but it does feel like he's willing to push back at least.
Yeah, I mean, he has to. I mean, he has to. I know Satya Nadella is on board. They say that they are on board for gaming. But although they say they're fully on board for gaming, there's only a certain extent. It's not an unlimited budget, do you know what I mean? There are, you know what I mean? There are certain parameters, like you say, VJ, that they can't go to the limit, can't spend 100 billion, you know what I mean? You can't go too far, you know.
No, but the Bethesda deal.
I'm sick of hearing that. People just keep banging on about it. These games have got
the reason I bring it up was that showcases at least the forefront of they're willing to put. Now, admittedly, as VJ says, Sony likes to create talent. Microsoft likes to buy it. I think they're at least willing to put their money where their mouth is.
Yep. Well, I don't think they had a choice, to be honest with you.
Well, no, that's the problem, isn't it? If you haven't got a team, or you aren't fostering or building up on a regular basis consistently over years a development base, what else can you do? You have to kind of then do circumvent it by buying in talent, and buying in talent will cost you a fortune. So it's the shareholders, and let's face it, this is where Microsoft is going to be. The shareholders at the end are like, why aren't we making money? We want to make money. Give us more money. And so someone's had to sit down with them and said, look, we are going to have to spend a fortune to get a fortune.
It's true. You got to, if you haven't got that base, you got to invest.
When was the last time Bethesda released a really good game?
That is a good question.
Halo. Fallout 4. Fallout 4. Sorry.
When was that? What year was that?
That 16, was it?
Was it? Let's have a look.
Is it 16? Somewhere in there.
I mean, Doom.
I'm just getting a bit sick of people on Twitter now. Oh, because PlayStation have brought out this new game, it's going to have a 2-year exclusivity. Now Xbox must make all their Bethesda games exclusive. Fire back, show people. I don't think that's the case.
That's tit for tat. Tit for tat doesn't do anything. It doesn't help anybody.
I don't think
is a 2-year deal great? No. Personally,
that game that everyone called a tech demo, where they showed off the Unreal Engine? Well, apparently that's a real game. He's going to be exclusive for 2 years.
So what? To be honest with you, 2 years. I think, to be honest with you, I don't like 2 years. 6 months, 8 months at a push. But what it does say is, if that game comes out, we'll get the best version of it.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked the question, right? They've got 3,500 people, right? And I think that leads to something roughly like I can't think now. Maybe a $500 million burn rate. So a lot of the maybe even more than that. I'm just being conservative here, right? Because they've got development and publishing, and I don't know when the games are releasing. So a lot of that money, right, that they've paid, maybe even half of it, right, is due to the burn rate, right? Sunk cost, right? Capital invested in development that hasn't been recouped, and I think and the rest is goodwill, right? That they're paying for. So they're paying for work in progress and for goodwill. I haven't got the exact figures, but yeah, a large chunk of that 7.5 billion is directly related to development costs that have already been sunk. That would be my take.
Mm.
Right. Given the last game was out in 2015, big game. What was it? I just checked. Yeah, 2015 Fallout 4.
Well, they've bought other games out recently, and they're like all the Doom games that come out and stuff. But
yeah,
well, that was
someone
was saying it was the publisher, wasn't it? Yeah, ID Software. But still, I mean, it's as you said, it's a good deal.
It's like, so Doom was published by Indy said. Doom was published by developed by ID Software.
Published by
Bethesda. Yeah. Exclusives. I'm not happy with it personally. I'm the sort of old person who would prefer exclusives to be removed entirely. I would love to say, as I think I've mentioned previously, exclusives in my eyes is holding back the industry. It's holding back the.
I agree, because it's like in the chat last week, Indy was saying about a lot of people are missing the point. It's like with Xbox marketing. It's the Game Pass that they're advertising. That's what the ultimate goal is. It's Game Pass. People are missing the point. Not how many consoles have sold. And like VJ was saying last week, it is Game Pass, and people need to get their brains around this. It's Game Pass. They're not bothered if you buy. It's just ultimate vision is Game Pass, and people don't get it. 8.5 billion doesn't mean them games will be in Game Pass, but it doesn't mean they make all them games exclusive, because Game Pass that's the point. It's Game Pass. It's not console exclusivity. If you ask me, Yeah,
I think the approach. I mean, I don't know if they will or not. It just depends on exactly what Microsoft are and how bullish they are. But it's like free in Game Pass, or if you want it elsewhere, pay $70. It's like, and if you want 2 or 3 of their games, Game Pass makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. Because I
don't know what you call it, reverse psychology, sanity. I don't know. With a name like Sanity, you should know.
I agree.
I would say it's reverse psychology. Yeah,
reverse psychology. And people in Twitter and places like that just don't understand these concepts, because it's like do you want a microwavable dinner, or here's 27 ingredients to make the exact same thing, but tastes a hell of a lot better. No, I'll just take the microwavable portion. I just can't be bothered to ask with all this detail, right? And that's the mind.
But to be fair, why should they understand those aspects if they're just and do you know the ins and outs of your microwave distributor?
Who, me?
No. Do you know the ins and outs of your toothbrush maker?
No,
do you know the ins and outs of these things? Why should they? It's a product in their eyes at the end of the day. I understand what you're saying, VJ, but I'm looking from their point of view. I'm being a devil's advocate here. I agree they should potentially maybe just do a little bit more research. But if your whole idea is just I'm here to play games, you kind of got the mentality is I don't care about the reason, I just want the game, which is exactly what you said.
I think maybe my example maybe have been a bit too diverse, but when you look at it, even from a simpleton's point of view, is $70 if I buy the next 2 or 3 games here, or I can pay it for $15 a month. I can play them all here. So maybe my 27 ingredients of a pork pie and sirloin chips is too complex. But I have a deep fat fireworks, but you kind of get the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and again, I said it's probably a prelude to pushing their own subscription service. It wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't.
Ramp the prices up. Those who will pay. Those who want day one will still pay day one. Yep. Those who don't will wait for it to drop. Yep. And then eventually slide in here's a better deal. You can get these amazing games for a lot less per month.
Because
it's coming. I know it is.
Mr. T said the same thing last week. He said if Microsoft announced Cyberpunk or Game Pass in a hypothetical universe tomorrow, he's fine with it. He's not going to cancel his order. He's still buying the game.
I do believe that if that was to happen, which he probably won't, but I reckon you get a bump of about 10 million subscribers. I do. An increase of 10 million subs or more, just to play. Just now, it may only last a month, but some of them may stay in the program.
You've got to be very careful using words like Savoy and bum, especially
well, there is a potential. There is a potential here. Who says we say it's going? We say it won't. Okay. Who says they won't bring it later on? Who says when the lust for this game, the fever for this game starts to slow down? They won't say to CD Projekt Red, we could probably bump those numbers up again if you let us put it on Game Pass.
Yeah, you know what, Removable? I would like to agree with you, and I know it could end up being a pivotal game at some point. Either it's going to sell really well and keep going, and CDPR say no, we're not interested, or Microsoft do lure, dangle a carrot, so to speak. But then I look at games like Yakuza, right, which is a Euro PS4 game that's not in Game Pass. That so many people were kind of thought, hang on, wasn't this supposed to be in Game Pass? And then I'm pointing to.
I was hoping it was.
Yeah, no, I was too. But then I point to, and again,
Izuka.
One of the key ones for me is next year, right, when Sony's exclusivity expires with Square Enix with Final Fantasy VII Remake on April the 11th. I would expect it to come to Game Pass. I really hope it does. I want to play it again, but it's going to be. I don't know how Microsoft is picking and choosing content, or how strong their relationships are with certain. Well, I guess Ubisoft might be, the next stack of games coming in. I don't know.
Well, I suspect, and again, I don't know the boardroom logistics of this, but we assume there is potentially one person going around every studio trying to draw up a contract. My gut feeling is it isn't like that at all. It's very much a list, and they have a list of games which they want to come to their system, and they have a list of timetables which each of the publishers stroke developers have given them, and then there is probably a price point with the particular contract. So I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, Yakuza, as you rightly said, maybe there is a particular price upon which they will pass that over to Microsoft in terms of Game Pass, but there is certain requirements that has to be met prior to that happening. So it could be, no, we're not going to do anything for the first year, and to get it on there, here is the requirement. For the second year, that might reduce down a little bit. For the third year, that might actually, reduce down even further. And I suspect that's probably more likely to be the case than just one person walking around every single office going, can you try and get it on our system? I suspect it's more along the lines of there is tiers. That's the word I'm looking for. Tiers of when these games are available, and then there's someone on the other side in terms of Microsoft going, well, let's weigh this tier up and this cost up versus the returns. Is the returns going to be as good as the cost for this? And that's probably more likely to be the case than this standard potentially perception of Microsoft ringing up, Square Enix. Oh, that game you're doing, can you give us a deal?
No. I think I just hope that they're spending our subscription money wisely. That's all, along short term, medium term, and long term.
I think the only way. The best way, there's two tiers of way we can probably keep an eye on this, and that will be the games coming through Game Pass. That would probably give us a very good hint of how money is being spent, and secondly, how much of it is being put back into studio development in terms of games. They will probably, those two elements, what's coming in and what they're using for studios and development. Because in terms of PR, and again, this is for the other members here, I haven't, in terms of standard TV, there just seems to be less advertisement. It seems to have gone through it seems to go through more social media and online advertisement rather than your standard billboards. I mean, there is some, but it doesn't seem to be as much, or maybe I'm just not noticing it as much.
There has been TV adverts, though.
But it is. You think about potentially 5 years ago, it seemed to be much more advertisement that was on terrestrial.
Yeah,
Where now it seems to be a hell of a lot more online. Social media is probably the biggest advertisement aspects of it now. Where it used to be billboards, and again, this is the evolution of the advertisement industry. I think probably Exwat Pope will probably be the best person to speak this because he deals with that as part of his day job, isn't it? Really, but. Yeah, I think it's just we're caught in the evolution of gaming advertisement and gaming in general. Things are rapidly changing, and we're just trying to hang on and see what happens.
Yeah, I want to get Mr. T's take on it all.
He's eating a Savoy, I bet.
Probably is.
Tushi, put the Savoy down and speak into the microphone.
He probably thinks it's one and the same.
Yeah, but online, like Indy said, like online advertising in this day and age, like is more targeted. So it is actually makes more sense in putting that money on into the internet rather than the traditional sense.
Without apps, with advertisement, website advertisement, adverts on your streaming services. It is everywhere now. You know, you pick up a phone. I think, to be honest with you, I did a rough guess one time, and from the moment I picked up my phone, looked at my phone for 1 hour, I think I was bombarded through the variety of different social medias with potentially over 500 adverts. You know.
Well, I'll tell you what, also,
it's probably got a hell of a lot worse since when I did that look, and that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
YouTube they've put the hammer behind their own service. I've seen that many adverts for YouTube Music. I'm getting sick of it. Every bloody video's got a YouTube Music advert on it now, nearly. They're ramping that up, don't they? It's their own adverts. You know, It's annoying. They shut Google Music down, then ramp up YouTube Music. You know.
Well, it makes perfect sense. It gets you to do what they want.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get it. Yet.
Which one? Which game?
YouTube Music.
Oh.
But no, yeah, they are tailored and ads are shown on relevant audiences. No, you are right, and they just make more sense online. It's a shame you don't see billboards. Well, we don't. Do we call them billboards here? What do we call them? Do we call them? I don't know. We've got one in my town, but I don't know what you call it.
Hello.
There we go.
Hey.
It was like my microphone weren't working or something.
We had it in your mouth, probably.
Yeah.
It gets stuck in my Savoy, I think. Yes, they are called billboards.
I didn't know.
UK, yeah.
Okay. Yep.
What's your take on it, Mr. BJ? Wanted your take on it.
So I missed parts of it because I was trying to sort out my bloody microphone.
Tell us about Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Don't spoil it. No spoilers.
No spoilers. Okay, there's a quality mode and a performance mode. I've had it in quality mode to see what it looks like visually, and it runs quite smooth as it is. So far, I'm about 2.5 hours in. I'm really impressed with it. The world is jam packed, especially when you first go to the open world. The cars control are a bit like, very similar to a cross between GTA 5 and Watch Dogs. So it's all right. The handling is quite good. The gunplay feels like Fallout or Outer Worlds.
Oh, okay, that's not so bad.
You've got that feel, like, you know, like I can't explain really.
It's got that impact behind it.
Yeah, it's good. It's got some nice guns in it and stuff. Yes, you can control the size of your penis. It's really funny. It just grows and then it shrivels up, and
like in real life.
It's like when you go out in the cold. It's good. I've enjoyed it so far today.
So it's not
bugs?
It's not the bookie mess, an unplayable game that some are claiming.
I'm running it off the internal SSD.
As you would
on the Series X. I've had 2 issues, and the only issues I've had, but I changed my region to New Zealand, so I'm playing it from the future, basically.
Mr. Kiwi.
I don't know if there was any patches to come out because it auto updates anyway. So I don't know if it's
There's
updated
two
or not.
on the 10th. There's meant to be coming out. 2 patches.
Yeah, but
Apparent.
I don't know if the new patches come out or not. I don't know.
Okay.
But I went on it today. I started it this afternoon, and it ran brilliant. The only issue I've had is where the game froze, but it didn't crash the console. It literally just froze for about 1 or 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden it was like free again. It didn't crash the console. It didn't cause no issues. It was just a little
10 seconds. You can tell this man is used to Series X and not an Xbox One. You can. He's got used to the Series X now.
It's good. It's some of the missions are challenging though.
So what you want though? Buy for money, 50 quid. You know what I mean? It sounds like I can't wait to play it.
It's good. I streamed it on Twitch earlier as well.
I
had my highest amount of views in one stream as
How
well.
many people watched you?
It's only 11, but that's big for me. I usually get like 3 or 4 maybe.
I'm avoiding all streams because I ain't getting it till Christmas. So.
Well, is someone getting it for Christmas?
Yeah, ironically, the missus has got it for Christmas, and
she won't give it to you.
No.
So I'm the person that go, come on, hand it over. Go on.
It's and to be fair, with hearing about the upgrades and the patches that's coming, I'm actually I won't be. Yeah, that's probably a good thing. You know, I'll probably, when I first start to open, it'll be a less buggy, more polished, potentially game. You know, 3 weeks down the line, I won't be hitting what everyone else is hitting.
While we're on this topic,
sorry, go ahead, Mr. Tucci.
Sorry, Lewis on Facebook has messaged me and he sent me a picture of the the car in the adverts, the Quadra. It's actually available on Forza Horizon 4.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Now that's a good deal, having CD Projekt Red stuff in Forza.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's about 600 horsepower, and it does nearly 200 miles an hour, so it's not a bad car.
Well, it's like InsipidGhost was saying earlier. You're starting to see more and more of this cross-promotional with Xbox Studios and other games. Which it's all good. It is, It's all good.
I mean, I know it was rumored it was going in there and stuff, but I didn't expect it to happen. I'm impressed.
That is good. It is. Yeah, it's been a good show tonight. We had InsipidGhost on. He was a very good guest. He was.
And I'm just disappointed we just haven't talked about Sea of Thieves at all.
We bloody did.
Talk Sea of Thieves if you want. Sorry, guys, we're going free form at the minute. There's no topics at the minute, so
you should do that more often. You should have a free fall.
Yeah,
well, next free flowing conversation.
Oh yeah. Also, guys, we've got a show Friday. If you want to check it out, we're going to do one on the Game Awards. If you'd like to check it out, it's the same time. But apparently, it's 4 hours long. Is that 4 hours long with the pre-show, or is that 4 hours long total?
Maybe we should do the stream during the show.
Yeah, but if we do the streams during the show, it's 11:30 at night.
Yeah, and we'll be doing a podcast at 4 a.m.
Oh my God.
VJ will be complaining it's late at night.
yeah, Mav, you're right. Xbox Keys coming out with great additional content for the best games. You're right. I mean, I've only started to get into this Sea of Thieves game, and from what I understand that I've only touched 1% of the content in the game, and I'm loving it. But it's a game you can play with friends. I've played it in the past solo, and it's crap. But with friends, it's a completely different experience in gaming. I love it. I do.
It would be better if you had about 8 people though, rather than 4.
I wish you. See, we were talking about it in the stream with Animated Evil, and it might be 4 people on purpose, so it's more frantic. Because it would be easy if you get attacked to have 6 to 8 people in your boat, because you could have running downstairs to fix the holes and get the water out of the ship, and then if you got 4, it makes it harder. See, everyone you're going to laugh with noobs. What happened last night was we got a chest called the Chest of Sorrows, not realizing that the Chest of Sorrows can sink your boat with water. We sunk without knowing what we did. And we got sunk. So do not
It's
pick
got,
up
like it's got a curse in it or something.
Yeah, and it even filled the little boat up as well. But I believe if you can manage to get it to shore to sell it, it's worth a lot of money. So yeah, have a good laugh at that one, people. We sunk our own boat by not knowing.
The worst part was that one guy was.
It's done. We can't save it.
The worst part about last night was that one guy was just playing with us for hours, wasn't
he? He kept coming for us. This one guy, and Killer Crow, he wasn't happy. He got his pen and paper out, and he took his game tag down. If I see him in the game again.
Well, it is a pirate game.
He kept coming back. He kept finding us. He did.
That's the idea of a pirate game, is to try and steal your opponent's loot.
It was just creepy because there's 4 of us on this big galleon, but there's one guy on his own. He kept like, I'll be walking into the room where like you got the desk and the bed and stuff, and there's a guy lying down in the corner. I said, who's this on the floor? And I realised it's not one of ours. I got my gun out and shot him, and he jumped up, attacked me with the sword, and then killed me.
He's a veteran, you know. A part legend.
Yeah, I was about to say I've done that myself. Where I've hidden on someone's boat for a good maybe hour and just stabbed a few people, and they're like, "Where the hell?" And there I am, just hiding. There is a particular little area. I won't tell. I'll tell you in the DMs, but there is a particular area where you can hide, and no one will know you are there.
It's really interesting because do you remember, Mr. Tushi? We were chasing a ship the other day, and we were trying to catch up with it. And then all of a sudden, someone boarded our ship, and we realized someone went overboard, waited for us to pass by, jumped on our ship, and started attacking us as a distraction. Brilliant.
Also, they seem to be running. The main theme is they seem to run in what I call the captain's room, and they seem to go and sit behind the table. Well, I caught one, and I killed him this time. I actually killed one of them.
There is, if they're a really good veteran, there is a place around there that you can hide and no one will know, because it's just, it is. I said I've done it before where you can be a real git, and you almost wait till they get to the shore, kill everybody, yank the booty out and sell it for yourself. But you have to be a little bit of a git.
He's saying that 6 people would work. But no more than that, because there's not enough supply. 6 people maximum would work.
Because you have one in the crow's nest, 2 or 3 people on the actual guns, and two people, one steering, one in the crow's nest. One doing the sails, and potentially one or 2 people sorting out the below decks as well, or still on the decks themselves. So 6 potentially would work a little bit better. But then maybe again they've gone for 4 because, as you said, they want teams. So 4 people still could be in a chat, but you've got 4 people on one side, 4 people on the other side, and there you go. Attack each other or coordinate with each other and help each other out.
I think we have to get you in a match because you will be really good. You're very good at leading as well on horde mode. Mr. Tushi good at leading in CFOs, but I reckon you might be good at leading too. I don't lead, no, I don't. But but no, Mav, yes, I missed it stuff. But did you talk about your Warthog experience? I haven't played that game since. I tried it about 60 times to do the end of Halo 1, and I was getting angry and I will go back to it, but I don't know if I can bring myself to do it.
Do it co-op.
I can. I've had offers. But it feels cheating to me because I could just sit in the Warthog and then do it first time probably. But it just feels like you're cheating. I want to try and do it myself. I will get there in the end. I will. Welcome, more Stew. And apparently that thing you were talking about, removable, is actually a legit move in Sea of Thieves. It's called tucking. Apparently it is something that they legitimately do.
Yeah, there are particular it's a bit weird, but there are particular little areas on the boat, and if you don't know where to look, you can very well easily stay on the boat and no one will know you're there. And the reason I say this is because I've done it myself.
Well,
I was a git myself, so I'll tell you about it in the DMs. You know.
Yeah, but last night he was on the boat, and then we all died. And then he sank our ship, and then we respawned on the ship again. Then he was there again. It was the same guy for like about 2 hours last night.
Oh no! Yeah,
He kept killing us, and all of a sudden,
Crow, he got his paper. You could hear him writing. He's writing this guy's game attack down, and he weren't being malicious. But he says, "If I see this guy on the seas, full out war with this guy."
Well, you can imagine on the other side, it's like he's trolling you. Effectively, he's trolling you, and that's what it is. And he's like, "Here I am, 4 people still can't get me."
For all I know, that should be in a YouTube video, being laughed at, you know. But
potentially, he could be a streamer. Yeah, he could be. Yeah, very well. You know, that's I have seen YouTubers do that. You know, where they'll go, right, I'm going to go out today. I'm going to find a group of people, and all I'm going to do is troll them.
Yeah.
I said to Stubbs last night, he's probably watching my Twitch stream because I was streaming it.
He could have been.
He could have been watching, seeing where we are and what we're doing.
But he would have had to have been on the same server, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Because so.
Well, if he's on the same, if he's unless you've got out of the server, dying doesn't get you out of the server.
Oh.
No. You once you're in, you have to quit to get out of the server. Once you're in that server, you're in that server until you quit. So if he's in that server, he just knows you're in that server somewhere. And if you've died quite close to a base, 10 times I think you're probably going to spawn quite close to the base again. So it's like,
But yeah, no, it was definitely fun. But what we were talking about is they were talking about they're making private servers or something, or renting servers. I thought if that was possible, a community game for Sea of Thieves warship battle would be awesome. But I don't know if that's possible, you know. Loads of community out on Sea of Thieves in one server. That'd be so cool. But I don't know if that could become a reality. I don't know. But if you do, you all want clowns on your side. He's very good, from what I understand. I mean, Assassin Loop is probably incredible. And Mav, we're just a bunch of noobs. But Real Sanity doesn't sound like a noob.
I can only moan because I kind of played the beta and the alpha, and then I kind of played I was there for the beginning for about 2 or 3 months when it didn't have as much content, and I kind of followed potentially a few YouTubers, and I kind of saw what they were doing, and that's how I found out certain things. There are the new add-ons, the new DLCs. I'm completely blind of what's happening, so I just know some tips and tricks. That's about it. When dealing with the new content, I'm as blind as anyone else.
I'm really looking forward to getting back on the game.
I would tonight, but it's really late.
You're at work tomorrow, aren't you? You're all at work.
Nope, I've got the dev.
No, he's got Cyberpunk tomorrow.
I booked the dev work for it.
No. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, everyone. It's been a great show, as always. And if you want to pop by Friday, we're going to do a little our thoughts on the Game Awards show, because it was requested by the panel, and we actually have Dreadpool on for that one because he was a bit confused.
Hey.
Dreadpool thought he was booked for tonight, and he messaged me saying, and I said to him, it's Friday. And I was like, oh, right. And she said, oh, yeah, you did say it was the date. I just didn't say the day. I said the date. And he says, oh, I said, you can come on tonight if you want. No. It's my mistake. I'll come on Friday. As we arranged, he said.
Well, that could be a bit of a problem because you do realise last time me and Dredd spoke, it was for a while.
Yeah, well, not really. That's not a normal midweek game. It's more of a reaction show. So we've got 80 minutes over now, but people seem to be liking it. you can send everyone to a different server, and then when you find a fort to do or something of interest, you can then all join that person in that server, Stubbs. Oh, that's interesting.
Ooh.
Look into that one. Well, anyway, thanks for stopping by, everyone, and I am very impressed. Mr. Tucci and Removable Sanity have stepped up their game. They talk more. Well done, lads.
I'm just not as tired today.
Oh, you've not been worked though, you've been everything went well at hospital.
Yeah, it was all right. Sure, they'll find out the problem with it soon.
Hopefully, you'll be all right. We spoke off the air we did last time, but I'm sure I have confidence you'll be okay.
I've just gone and bought a bloody another game.
Jesus, Tushy.
I told you he's really bad.
It's called World War One Tannenberg.
Oh, sounds familiar.
There's two of them in one. I thought instead of paying the full price for both of them, I just bought one of them. But it looks good. So it's got some good reviews anyway.
It's good to hear. Well, anyway, we'll end the show on that. Can you tell people where they can find you, Removable Sanity? They want to find you?
If you're ever interested into anything I say, probably you won't be because I talk a lot of crap. I can be found on I can be found on Twitter under Removable Sanity, or mine's YouTube and the Xbox platform under the same name. I'm generally on those platforms at the moment. So yeah, feel free to give me a shout or give me a message, and that's where you'll find me.
Thanks, Removable, for coming on. It's been a fun one tonight, it has.
Thank you.
Thanks for you, VJ, for coming on. Can you tell people where they can find you?
Sorry I had to disappear earlier, Stubbs, and left you in the lurch sort of thing. I'm sure Sanity and Mr. 2 cut their end, the proverbial ends. Anyway.
We understand when you got to go, ain't you?
That caffeine addiction, you've got to keep it, mate.
Oh dear.
It's all that tea.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But you can, if you really want to find me and have a chat or have a laugh or whatever, just catch me on Mr. Tushi's Saturday community gaming nights with friends and so on and so forth. Mr. Tushi, maybe you can mention what the games are this week.
Yeah, this Saturday at 9 p.m. UK, we'll be playing Gears5 for a couple of hours. Then we'll be playing, hopefully, Hot Shot Racing. Hopefully, the servers are working again now.
Oh, perfect.
Now they've had the new update with the DLC and stuff, so there'll be some new stuff in there, which should be fun.
Excellent. And on, I think it's next Saturday, I'll be on the Indie Gamers podcast, and it should be a special fun show. He's been tweeting about it and so on and so forth. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I just think that indie gamers and indie games and what the indie gamer brings to the community at large is really important. And who knows, right? Maybe some of these critical hits from indie studios, and they may be studios of the future that provide us some really good gaming.
Without doubt.
Yeah. And yeah, that's everything from me, Mr. Stubbs. I'm ready for bed. No, not
Me
really.
too.
It's really. Wait a minute. What time is it? So yeah.
12.
No. I mean, in his time.
No, it's 4:30.
It's lunchtime for him.
Well, you can go back if you want, VJ. You're more than welcome.
No. I'm just downloading Cyberpunk and then playing with Jedi Fallen Order, and the Jedi Fallen Order is running a lot better. Well, not running a lot better. I'm able to play it a lot better because I forgot to switch my my TV to game mode, so that's helped quite a bit. But anyway, sorry.
That's good to hear. Anyway, right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Masuku, Indie Gamer, Assassin Looper, Man Fun Speculation. Michael Monkey Punch was on the old Twitch side because we're streaming on Twitch at the same time as well. There was War Stew, Cerebral Paul. Just going up the list. There was loads of people who stopped in. Pong Soul, Rob Tanner off Twitter. Don Dunnett finally came by. I Still Rain, Back from the Dead. Just loads and loads of people stopped by. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please wait a minute. Let's hang on. Indie on the 19th of this month on the Indie Gamer podcast, it'll be the Indie Games Awards and Indie Games Quiz on the 19th on the Indie Gamer channel. That sounds very good. That does. That does sound very good.
Who's going to win?
I'm going to come last.
Well, I don't know what the panel is yet.
Makes a change with coming first all the time.
I don't know.
I've never maybe in that contest.
I just think it was awesome that Indy got allowed to be one of the first people in the world to have and show his content off and be live. That he got Song of Iron. I think that was amazing for him. He really deserves it. He does. You know, he works hard. He does. You know, his content. It's nice to see indie developers reaching out to him to that degree. You know, most definitely. And sorry, Assassin Looper. I missed you there. Sorry, you have been there. Sorry. I swear I said it. Sorry about that. Thanks for stopping by. I'm useless, and anyway, thanks for stopping by, everyone, and I will see you all soon. Thank you very much. See ya.